Hello everybody, welcome to BrickVault. Today I get to show you guys an amazing LEGO custom creation, the Swordfish 2. This is Spike Spiegel's spaceship in Cowboy Bebop, one of my personal favorite shows of all time, and this is one of my personal favorite ships from any sci-fi universe ever. Designed by the incredibly talented builder Marshall Banana. I have about 1.5 million things I want to say about this model, but before I get into any of the details, first I do want to say that if you wanted to build this LEGO custom creation for yourself, the instructions can be found at our web store, www.brickvault.toys. Included with each purchase is a PDF step-by-step building guide, as well as a digital parts list for quickly uploading and ordering all the pieces that you'll need to order online. Any and all support from you guys is always greatly appreciated. It really helps what we do here at the channel, and it helps support the designers that we work with, like Marshall Banana. And funny enough, a few months back when this design was still being tweaked, I was rewatching the show for like the 10th time in a row, and I discovered that the handle Marshall Banana is actually an Easter egg from one of the Bebop episodes. I was pretty happy to figure that out. Alright, now jumping back into the Swordfish 2. In universe, it's a relatively old racing ship that's been refitted to be incredibly fast and maneuverable. In fact, in the show, I don't think there's a ship that ever outmaneuvers Spike when he's in the Swordfish 2. Despite its sleek and almost delicate look from afar, it is a workhorse used every single day just about. And whenever you get a good close look at this ship in the show, it is an extremely beat up little vehicle. And it's frankly one of the strangest and most interesting looking spaceships that I've ever seen. It's incredibly pointy and sleek and sharp in the front, and the construction for the design of the body in the back is something I would describe as wasp-like, with those two different balls or orbs that connect at that one little pivoting point. The designer took incredible care to capture as many of these strange and interesting points of the model here in LEGO, and on top of that he focused on another supremely unique aspect of the ship, which is its ability to fold up in a very specific way for storage. And in fact, on that note, I think it's maybe worth jumping into the handling section of this video maybe a little bit early, and that's because I not only want to show you how this model handles, but it's also required to show you what you need to do in order to get it from the flight mode to the landed position. So you can take it off the little stand there. It only connects by one stud, but it's a very strong single stud connection. When you open up the landing gear, when you bring the wheels down, you can see a little bit of green. That is intentional. The inside of the Swordfish 2 actually has a lot of bright green highlights. That is a detail that even some hardcore fans tend to miss on this model, so it's really cool that Marshall Banana decided to include that. Here you can move the gun around. There is a decent amount of posability. There's enough friction to keep it in place. When you turn it on the side though, it will slide all the way down to the wing. So the connection definitely works for display purposes, but it will swivel when you swoosh. There's a few little pieces here and there that I'm just kind of moving around. You can see that that top canopy jiggles around. That's because it actually folds out realistically. Here is also a little bit of a friction test for the wings. They stay in place wherever you set them. The same thing goes for the wheels, which is great. And you'll notice that as a general running theme for this model. There is plenty of functional friction, but it isn't like super stiff connections. Here you can see the red ring is able to swivel, which is accurate to how this ship is supposed to transform. And the same thing goes for the ring being able to sort of cut in half or fold in on itself. And we have begun the first step for transforming this ship from flight mode into its landed or storage mode. That's not to say that this is the direct order of operations of how this thing, you know, sort of folds into its storage mode from flying. But anyways, we're getting the top canopy opened there. It's only connected by a couple of clips, really just kind of like one stud of connection at the end of the day. But once again, it works. I mean, there's enough friction to keep it there and have it stay there. After that, it's pretty basic. The wings come up, and once the canopy is folded up, the domed windscreen can lift going the other direction. The wheels come down on either side of the wing. I usually like to bring them pretty close to the gun in the center. And forgive me for going a little slow. I'm trying to hold this in a way where you guys can see what I'm doing on the camera, but you can ratchet up the back. It's kind of got that wasp-like shape. And the third wheel folds out. I mean, technically the third wheel doesn't actually support anything. The ship rests on the back of the body. But basically, that's it. That's the full breakdown and fold up design for the Swordfish 2. The fact that Marshall Banana got this ship to morph realistically, like how it morphs in the show, still completely blows my mind. The shape of the Swordfish 2 already is such a weird and ambitious design to try to tackle in LEGO that just getting the structure on its own to work seems difficult enough. But with a lot of design and engineering and re-engineering, this guy managed to get this ship to work. Now, as part of the handling procedure of showing you guys how this ship handles, I'm going to fold everything back up for you. Once again, not in the exact same order of operations as maybe the ship would fold closed in the universe of the show. And in fact, I'm not even gonna narrate what I'm doing this time, but instead just let you all see it come back together in a slightly sped up motion. Now, there's one thing I forgot about when talking about the Swordfish, or the model really. It comes with 2 missiles that you can attach on either side of the wing. Missiles on the Swordfish aren't really a staple. It's sort of an ongoing joke that missiles are expensive, and the crew of the Bebop is always so broke that they can barely afford food half the time. Either way, the model does come with these 2 missile attachments. They can pop on either side of the wing. Looks kind of nice. I do like sort of just the white flash on either side, but it's not really the traditional way you're normally used to seeing this ship. And I suppose this is also a good time to reiterate that this model is minifigure scale, so it does indeed scale with the rest of the ships from the Star Wars universe that have been developed in the web store. And it also gives you a really good idea, especially when you see this thing from far away, just how different and unique a spaceship like this looks compared to other sci-fi ships. It's sharp, there's some smooth dark gray, but basically nothing competes with that incredibly strong, deep red look that we have for this model. The large ring, also in red, pops quite well from far away, and you'll also see that it's not folded up. The ring doesn't always fold. In fact, it's open to that configuration usually when it's taking off and not being stored. Anyways, I hope I'm making the point that this is just an incredibly cool design. People have been obsessed with the Swordfish 2 for quite a long time. We have a few different iterations of the model built here in the studio, and I've even seen little models online that are hyper accurate, proportionally perfect, have all these little realistic folding features. That's just for people that I think have an unnecessarily unhealthy obsession with this design. So when comparing the two, I'm happy to say that there are so many similarities between both of these little models. The wings and nose and cockpit really do look similar. There's a slight proportional difference between the ring and the back. In order to have the folding feature of the wasp-like design work, it's placed in a slightly different spot, but basically this thing is spot on. Alright, now and only now am I going to start talking about specific design features of the LEGO model that really pop out to me in a special way. I'm going to hit you sort of rapid fire with these. Let's start at the bottom with the domed gun. Marshall Banana has an extremely unique way to get those half dome pieces to stick on. Basically, the dishes are keeping them in place, and it feeds into the center of the body where you have these 3 wings all attaching together in sort of this triangular shape to make that spiked nose of the Swordfish. Easily, this is the most complex and intricate part of the model, and troubleshot to an incredible degree to make sure it is very robust. The frame of the model that allows for these pointed pieces to converge at a correct angle also allows for the wings to be canted forward. This is pretty evident from that bird's eye view. It's incredibly accurate. I love the shape of this ship from a top-down view. The folding red frame that goes around the windscreen is also a very complex design. You can especially see this when it's folded up. Just look at all those weird connections there in the front. Also, while you're looking at the wheel that's folded in the back here, you won't be able to see it. I'm not even going to show you, but there's some green on the inside of the body here that was also intentionally put there because this part of the Swordfish in-universe is also green. The ring in the back, despite the fact that it's made up of primarily a flexi tube on either side, is surprisingly strong, and I'm really happy that the wings look so perfectly smooth with just a couple of little studs on the top in order to include that wing folding function. The interior of the cockpit has a great control console. Usually something like this is sort of phoned in, or just you add one little cheese wedge and call it a day for many cockpits, but that is definitely not the case here, and it's simply a model that we are going to cherish here in the studio for several years to come. Frankly, there's a lot more I'd like to talk about this model, especially this model, but I think the prowess of this design pretty much speaks for itself. Marshall Banana has been incredibly dedicated to this build. And remember, if you did want to build this model for yourself, you can get the instructions at our web store, www.brickvault.toys. He even included a few Bebop-inspired graphics on some of the pages, which is fun. And remember, guys, let me know what types of models you'd like to see made in the future. If you enjoy our content, you can always like or subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time, we'll see you next time at BrickVault.